Hi. So now let us see another sorting algorithm and very important sorting algorithm. So that is quick sort actually. Okay. So this is going to give best time complexity out of all existing sorting algorithms with some constraints actually. Okay. So let us see first of all what is this quick sort on this example, and basing on the understanding of this example let us see its algorithm, and then basing on the algorithm and this example let us see its time complexity. So this is what the flow we are going to see in general, right? So even here also let us follow same thing. So let us try to understand what is this quick sort. As name implies, so it is going to sort the elements very quickly in some cases actually, not in the all cases. So after understanding of this example, let us discuss different cases when it is going to sort the elements very quickly and when it is going to sort the elements very slowly. So let us try to understand clearly. So here if you see how you are going to sort here. So initially in every iteration, that means here we have total 9 elements are there to sort. So whenever you have n number of elements are there to sort, first we are going to select pivot element. So you can select any one of the element as pivot, that is there is no constraints actually for selecting pivot element actually. So for example, I am selecting the pivot element for comfortability, I am going to select this element. So that means 8th index element I selected as pivot actually. So this is I am going to select as pivot element. Okay. See, again I am saying you can select any element as pivot, but after selecting any element as pivot, that you must move to any one of the end actually, either 0th index or the highest index number, you have to move that particular actually. So for example, if I select 45 as pivot, what I have to do, this pivot either I have to move to this 8th index, that means these two elements you have to swap. So that is what actually. So first step is select the pivot element. You can select any one as a pivot element. So for compatibility I am selecting this one. Okay. So 65 is the pivot element. So after selecting the pivot element, what we have to do is, see, the step 1 is select pivot element. Okay. Select pivot. Then after selecting the pivot, what we have to do? So then you see set I and j. So set I and j as what actually? So I is going to become lowest index number and j is going to become highest index minus 1 position. Okay. So that is what high minus 1 actually. So here you can see these two, this is going to become low and this is going to become high actually. Okay. So j we are going to set, I we set as this one, that is the lowest index, and j we are going to set as highest index minus 1. Then what we are doing is next in the third step, so in the third step move forward direction, move forward from I actually, until where actually, see, until okay, until element is greater than pivot actually. Okay, until element greater than pivot. So let us see here. So you are at here. So 75. So 75 is greater than pivot element. So we are going to stop. That is what? Move forward direction until element is greater than pivot. So we are at ith index element. So that 75 is greater than that element 75 greater than the pivot. So you stop. Then after this what we have to do? After this move backward from j actually, this is from j, this is from I. So that is very important. Then until, very importantly, until element less than pivot. So now you can see, that means where is j actually? Here. So j is 50, 50 is less than 65. So you have to stop. So I is stopped at here, j is stopped at here. Then after this, what we have to do is swap these two elements. Swap, for example, this is in the array A, so we are going to swap A of I and A of j. Elements we are going to swap. So we will try to understand why this we are doing. So first let us try to work mechanically. So that means if you swap, here we are going to get 50 and then remaining elements as it is. So that is 70, 45, 80, 85, 60, 55. Here we are going to get 75 because these two elements we are swapping, right. So here it is 75, and then as usually pivot element, this is 65. So this is pivot. And now you see, because this element already compared with the pivot, what we will do, I is moving to the next element, next position, and at the same time j is also already compared this position element, so move to the next element. So j is at here. Is it clear? Now you see again, so here after this again iteratively you will do third step, that is very important. Then from I again move forward direction until element greater than pivot. So here itself you can see 70 is greater than 65. So 70 greater than 65 means you have to stop, element is greater than pivot, and same thing next to fourth step, move backward from j until element is less than pivot. So you can see 55 is less than pivot. So here also you are going to stop. See, meaningfully we will understand why we are doing like this. So first of all let us try to traverse like this. So what is going to happen here, you can see, so here I am going to note down as it is here 50, but here swap you have to do these two elements. So that means this is going to become 55 and this is going to become 70, and of course remaining elements as it is. So that is what 45, 80, 85, 60, 75, 65, and of course this is pivot. And now what is I and j? So you can see here I is moving to the next step, j is coming to the previous step actually, that means previous element. So now here, now you see same thing, after swapping again go to the third step. Then in the third step 45 less than pivot. If 45 is less than pivot, you have to move actually. He is saying until element is greater than pivot, but element is not greater than pivot, so you simply move, I is moving to the next element. And then again, because it is until, that means it is iterative loop. So that is why 80 greater than 65, now element is 80 greater than pivot, so you have to stop. So I is stopping at this position, at third position. Now after that fourth step, so j, that is 60, 60 less than 65. So here you can see element less than pivot, element is 60, pivot is 65, so you have to stop. Then here what you have to do, perform swap operation, right. So if you perform swap operation, what we are going to get here, 50 we will get as usually, 55, and this is not going to change, 45, and here importantly we are going to get 60 here, and then here 80 of course, and then remaining elements 85, 70, 75, 65. Now you see very importantly, I is moving one step forward, so it is at here, j is moving one step backward, so that means it is at here. At here also you have to do the same thing, until where now you are going to derive the condition, until when you are going to do third step, fourth step, fifth step sequentially, until what time, so that you will get the condition now. Then you are going to the sixth step, after these three steps, after doing how many iterations you are going to the sixth step, that you can decide now. So let us see here also. So 85 element greater than pivot, that is what 65. So because condition is true, go to the fourth step. Then 85 is actually not less than pivot. So that means 85 less than 65, false. So J is moving backward one step now. So J is coming now. So this is the condition where you have to stop doing these three steps iteratively. So that means now you are coming the moment I is less than or equal to J, if I is less than or equal to J, you will do these three steps. But here J is 3, I is 4, 4 less than or equal to 3, condition false. So now you are moving to the sixth step. So very, very important. So what we are doing is, wherever I is there, wherever pivot is there, those two we are going to swap. So we know that this is pivot, okay. So in the sixth step, immediately after coming out of these three steps, then we are going to do here swap pivot element with A of I actually. Is it clear? Now you can see if you swap what is going to happen. So here 50, here 50, then 55, 45 and here 60. Now here we are going to get the 65, very, very important, 65, and then remaining elements if you see 80, 70, 75 and then 85 here, 85. Okay. So this is what one complete iteration, one iteration is done. Now what is our understanding is, whatever pivot you selected initially, whatever pivot is selected initially, that came to its correct position in the ascending order, that is what we have to observe. Okay. So that you can observe here. So here you see I selected 65. What you are doing every time, try to understand meaningfully. So here you see for the 65, whatever elements are there left side, all of them are less than to this 65, and whatever elements are there after 65, all of them are greater than 65. So when you are moving forward direction, you stopped where actually, wherever you find the element which is greater than pivot, because that element, whatever element is greater than pivot, that element must be right side of the pivot. That is why you stopped there. And when you are moving backward direction, whenever you find the element which is less than the pivot, that must exist before pivot. So here it is pivot, right? So that element must exist before pivot, 55. So that is why you stopped there. So if I find any element which is less than pivot when you are moving forward, you are skipping, you are going to the next element, because that is anyhow it is less than pivot, means it is going to exist left side of the pivot element at the end actually. So that is why you no need to do the elements which are less than the pivot when you are moving forward, and you no need to do anything when you are moving backward direction if you find any element greater than the pivot. So that is what happening here. So this is actually quick sort. So finally what happened is, whatever you selected randomly one pivot element, that pivot element is going to its correct position in the ascending order. So if all elements are sorted, 65 position is not going to change. 65 is going to exist in the fourth index only, because all the previous elements are less than pivot, because even if you sort all these elements, they are going to exist in these four positions only, and same thing for these four elements also. So this is what actually quick sort. And then what you will do next? So that is very simple. See what we did for these 9 elements, same thing we are going to do for these 4 elements, okay, and same thing you are going to do for these 4 elements. That is why this is coming under divide and conquer strategy. So after placing the pivot element, that pivot element may divide the problem into two subproblems. Very important, may divide into two subproblems. That means it is not going to divide every time. That is very important. Only sometimes it is going to divide into given main problem into two subproblems after placing pivot element in its correct position. Then every subproblem you have to solve in the same manner. That means take only these four elements, select the pivot element and do the same process here also, and same thing do the same process here also, and for every iteration one element reaching its correct position. That means whatever pivot you selected, that pivot is going to its correct position. So in that way we are sorting actually in the quick sort. Hi. Hi. So now let us see algorithm of this quick sort. So after understanding this example, writing this algorithm is very simple. So we must have this kind of practice actually. Okay. So first work on always for example. Basing on the understanding of the example, every minor step try to convert into a algorithm actually step by step. So let us see here what we are going to do. So here we are calling the function name quicksort. Okay. So we are going to have a function name quicksort. So that is what quicksort. And what are the parameters you are passing for this quicksort? So here you can see these elements you have to pass to this quicksort actually. So that meaning is what actually array we are going to pass. In array we are going to have elements, so that we are passing actually. And after that if you say what is the lowest index, what is the highest index, you have to pass, because whenever we are solving this subproblem or whenever you are solving this subproblem, what is the lowest index? That is what 5. What is the highest index? That is what 8. So because for these n elements what you used, for these elements also you are using the same algorithm. So that is why low and high you have to pass. So that is why we are going to take here variable name low and high. So this is saying that these two parameters saying that in this array we are not, sometimes we are not going to solve entire thing. What is the lowest index and what is the highest index? Though every time you have this array totally, but we will consider these four when you are solving this problem. So try to understand meaningfully. So this is what the parameters, so that means the definition of the quicksort. And then what we are doing inside. So let us try to understand. See, here first of all we are selecting the pivot, placing the pivot in its proper position. After placing this you are solving separately, this you are solving separately. So what we are doing is selecting the pivot and placing that in a proper position. This whole work we are doing separately in another function. So that function I am calling as partition. Okay. What this partition function is doing is, so it is inside the partition function, it is selecting pivot and doing this entire work and placing that pivot in its proper position. And after placing, what the partition is returning value is where that pivot is placed in the fourth index. So basing on the fourth index, I am going to do next what actually, this 0 to 3, that means this is what position, this is what the position returned by this function. So 0 to 3 separate subproblem, and whatever position is there, position plus 1 position to high separate problem. So that is what, whatever partition is returning, that I am going to catch into a variable, that is what position variable actually, POS. So this position is saying that where pivot is placed. So then whenever you are calling the partition function, what are the parameters you have to pass? So I must pass this array, that is what A, and then I must pass low and high. Basing on that only it is going to work. So that is why I am going to pass low value and high value. Okay. So time being, what we are doing is, let it be this function. So we are directly moving to partition function. So after writing the partition function, let us come back to this remaining portion. So that is why I am taking the partition function here. So partition, and what are the parameters you are receiving? Array A and low and high. So now, so what we are doing inside the partition? So inside the partition what we are doing is, here you can observe. First, what we are setting actually pivot element. So let us set pivot element here. So I am setting pivot as highest index element, right? So that means I am going to take highest index as pivot element. So that is why pivot is high. So that is what 8th index, 8 is there in the pivot. That means its corresponding element 65. Then what we have to do after this? Set I and j. So that is what is I actually? I is lowest index, that is what 0, that means low. And what is j actually? J is high minus 1 position. So that is what high minus 1. See what we did here, same thing we are writing in the form of steps. So that is what always good practice. If you want to become a good programmer, work on example normally, then step by step you convert actually. Or you just at least for these algorithms you practice in this way, for any algorithm definitely you are in a position to write down on your own. Then what we did, let us try to observe. See here, I is at here, after I and j values are set, what we are doing, let us observe. So I is at here, this ith position element we compared with pivot, and if you see our steps whatever we written, until, that means repeatedly you have to do, that means loops we have to use. So that is what I am using here, while loop. So while of, if A of I is less than to pivot, then I is moving to the forward. So that is what, if A of I is less than pivot, then what we are doing, I is simply incrementing, that is it, I am not doing any other thing. So this you are doing until A of I is greater than pivot. So that is what you can observe, 75, A of I 75, less than pivot 65, 75 less than pivot false, it is coming out of the while loop. After coming out of the while loop, what else we did? Go to the backward direction, that means go to the j. In case of j, what we did actually, if this one is less than pivot, you have to stop. If this element A of j is greater than pivot, you have to go backward. So that means same while loop, after this while loop actually, A of j, if A of j is greater than pivot, you have to continue, that means move backward, that means j is going to the next step. So that is what j minus minus I am doing. So when you find I value, that means when you find element is greater than pivot and this jth element is less than pivot, then you stop here and you stop here, and after these two while loops are terminated, that means here you have the element which is greater than pivot and here you have the element which is less than pivot. So these two elements you swapped, that is what 50 came here, 75 came here. So that is what next we are going to do here. So let us note down here. So if you continue here actually, so what we are doing, swap of what we have to swap, A of I and A of j. So that is what a of I comma a of j. And very importantly, what next we did? See, everything what we did here, same thing. After swapping, simply I is incremented, j is decremented. So I am going to increment I plus plus, j minus minus. Then after these two steps, what we did? Again this element I compared with this pivot, and this element I compared with pivot. That means these two steps you are doing, is it or not? So that means these steps, this and this and this, you are doing repeatedly. That means again you have to use these step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these must be again in a loop, right? That is what here I am going to take another while loop. For this we have to write down the condition. So this while loop here I am going to close. Okay. Now what is going to happen? Let us try to understand. So here you see, again here I and j compared with pivot, swap is happened, and here I and j is compared with pivot, swap is happened. When you terminated this kind of work, that means this work when you terminated, whenever I is greater than j, and when you continued, whenever I is less than or equal to j. Even when I and j are same, you continued actually. But the moment I is greater than j, then you stop the process. So that is what the condition here. If I is less than or equal to j, you just continue. So that is what we did, right? So this loop is going to terminate here. So by the time this while loop is terminated, you are at here actually. That means I is at here, j is at here. Try to understand the steps. So by the time this while loop is terminated, that means I is greater than j, I is at here, j is at here. And now what we are doing? Pivot element and I position element we swapped. So that is why 65 came here to the ith position, 85 went to the pivot position. So that is what you have to do, same thing, right? So let us try to write down here main step, that is swap of a of I comma a of pivot actually, because pivot is going to have its index. So that is why swap is performed. That means this is happened actually. Pivot came to here. But here you see this entire work you did when you call this partition function. Here you must know where this pivot is placed. That position you have to return. So that means I have to return the index number 4, so that accordingly remaining work it is going to perform. So that is why this function is going to return I actually. Return I. With that, partition function is completed. Partition is completed. Is it clear? So you see how simple writing the code after understanding the example. Now you see what happened. This partition, what did actually after completion of this one, pivot is placed in the 4th position, that number 4 is returned. So now position is going to have that number 4, for example. Okay. Then after getting that where pivot is placed, what you have to do? These elements you have to sort separately, these elements you have to sort separately. That means for solving these elements, what you have to do? For solving these elements, what we did? I called quick sort. So for solving these elements, I am also calling quick sort. So that is what I am also calling here quick sort. That is why it is a recursive function. And what are the parameters I have to pass? Same array I am going to pass. And what is the lowest index? This is the lowest index 0 and this is the highest index 0, 1, 2, 3. How you will get a highest index? This is what the position you got, is it or not? 4 is the position. So, this is what the position also. So, in position you are going to have 4, that is what partition returned. So, position -1 is the highest index number for this subproblem. So, that is why here low as it is I am passing, that is what 0, because here also 0, and position -1 is going to become highest index for this subproblem. So, that means by the time this line is completed means this subproblem you solved. Same way further you are going to have. Then this subproblem solved means what else is remain? This subproblem also you have to solve. So, to solve this subproblem, what you did here, same thing here also. That means again I am calling the quick sort. Okay, and here also I am passing the array A, and very importantly, what is the lowest index? 5 actually here. So, lowest index is 5, meaning is what actually? Position plus 1. So, that is why we need position where pivot element is placed. That is what overall partition is saying. Of course, partition is doing this entire work and placing the pivot in its proper position, but you must know where that pivot is placed. By using that one, further division is going to happen. That is what you can see, low to the position -1, that means up to the position, and then after a position to high is going to become next function call. So, that is what position plus 1 to high actually. Okay. So, that is what this function you are doing separately, this problem you are doing separately. And then if you observe, if you leave like this, what is going to happen? This is going to happen theoretically infinite recursive call. You are going to stop this procedure at some point, right? Where you are going to stop actually. So, here this subproblem divided into 2 equal halves, for example, pivot is placed like this. Here you have only one element. Whenever you have only one element, you no need to sort, that is already sorted. And of course, quicksort is ensuring that after placing pivot element here means all elements before is less than to this one, after is greater than to this one. So, one element this one, that is already sorted. So, that means when you are going to stop this recursive calls. So, whenever here in this case, for example, index is 3, in this case low is 3, high is also 3. So, whenever low and high, whenever low is less than high, you have at least 2 elements. So, you have to apply the quicksort. If whenever low is equal to high, you have only one element, that means you no need to do anything. Or whenever low is greater than high, you do not have any elements, so you no need to do anything. So, when you have to do these 3 lines, simply whenever low is less than high. So, that is what I am going to put a condition, if low is less than high, then only I will go inside of this one. Otherwise, you no need to do anything, right? If you have one element, that means both of them same. If you do not have any elements, low is greater than high. In those two cases, you no need to do anything. Only thing is whenever low is less than high. Low is less than high means at least you have 2 elements. That means you have to apply the quicksort. That is why you are going inside. So, this is what overall the algorithm of quicksort. You see how simple it is. So, here overall we did that. This is important partition part. So, in this partition function what we are doing is selecting the pivot element as a highest index element and setting the I and j, moving forward direction, moving backward direction. Wherever you stopped, those I and j position elements you are swapping, then I is moving forward one step, j is moving backward one step, and this we are repeating until I is less than or equal to j. After that, this see by the time this outer loop while loop is terminated, you find the position for the pivot element. So pivot element position you find means we have to perform the swap. So that is what ith element we are swapping with pivot position element. So after placing the this step is completed means this swap is completed means pivot is placed in its proper position in the ascending order. So after that wherever pivot is placed, that position you have to return. So that position is what actually ith position. So this you are returning to here, that you are catching in the POS variable. Why this POS variable is required in this function is, basing on that position you are dividing the main problem into two sub problems. So that is what you can see here, position -1 as a highest index for the first function call, that means this first sub problem, and here second sub problem basing on this position +1, that means this one, second sub problem. So position, if position is this one, highest index for the first sub problem is position -1, and second sub problem lowest index is what, position +1. So that is why this where pivot element is placed, that position is required actually. So you can see how simple it is basing on the understanding of this example. So this is what overall algorithm of quicksort. So now let us see time complexity of this quicksort. Okay. So after understanding of this example, very easily you can analyze actually. So let us try to analyze and then find out its time complexity. So first of all, you see the different steps whatever we written earlier. So from those steps only we can analyze actually. But here if you see, we have different works actually here, and we can compare this one, this analysis with merge sort also. Okay. So but in case of merge sort we are doing one kind of work, and in case of quicksort we are doing another kind of work. So first let us try to analyze this one, then we can easily compare with other sorting algorithms. So here you see we selected pivot element, that is one step, it will take constant amount of time. So that means every time if I am selecting pivot as high, so that will take constant amount of time. So we are not going to bother. Next, so here you see after setting I and j, so this is very important. So let us take here time complexity of merge sort, T of n equal to. So now here you see what we are doing is, see pivot element you selected here and that pivot element came to here. Okay. So this entire work time complexity first you have to tell, and after that this sub problem time complexity is what, and this sub problem time complexity is what, that is what overall time complexity of this quicksort. That meaning is to sort these 9 elements, how much time it is taking, that if you divide into different parts, first I have to place the pivot element in its proper position. After placing the proper position, then left elements I am going to solve separately by using the same thing recursively, and the right sub problem also you are going to solve separately by using same thing recursively. That means step 1 is what? Placing the pivot element in its proper position in a ascending order. So for that how much time is taken, that is what first you have to tell. And after that this sub problem time complexity, this sub problem time complexity you have to tell. So that is very simple. Let us try to observe here what we did. So after setting I and j, you see here what happened. This 50 you compared with pivot, you can observe, that means 75 you compared with pivot, and or simply you can say 0th index element compared with pivot, first index element compared with pivot, second index element compared with pivot, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, every element here compared with pivot in one of the iteration, you can observe. Every element you compared, so 75 you compared, here 50 compared, then 70 you compared, here 55 you compared, then here 45 compared, maybe swap not happened, but you compared, and 80 compared, 85 compared, here 60 is compared. So how many comparisons you did overall, that is what you have to tell. So overall comparisons, so total comparisons how many? So total comparisons, how many actually? N minus 1 comparisons we did. So total n elements are there. If you remove pivot element, n minus 1 elements, every element we compared with pivot. So that means n minus 1 comparisons we did actually. And after that any other operation we did? So one operation we did, that is what? Swapping actually. Is it or not? So how many swaps we performed? So let us try to understand very simply worst case number of swaps actually. So for example, if I take 6 elements, and of course this is pivot, assume. This I compared with pivot, this element I compared with pivot, and I am performing swap. And then I will come here, j will come here, right? That is what we can observe. So let us try to understand general manner. And this we compared with pivot, this we compared with pivot, and assume that we are going to swap. And this element we compared with pivot, this element compared with pivot, so assume that we are going to perform swap. So how many swaps you performed actually? 1, 2, 3. Total swaps are 3. What is 3? Nothing but it is approximately 7 by 2. Is it or not? So that means it is approximately n by 2. So that is what total swaps. How many we performed? So total swaps we performed is n by 2. So after doing n minus 1 comparisons, after doing n by 2 swaps, you are able to place the pivot element in its proper position. So that means for placing a pivot element in its correct position in the ascending order, how much time complexity, how much time it is taken, that is what? N minus 1 plus n by 2. So this, if I conclude, what we can write down is n minus 1 plus n by 2 is the time complexity for placing pivot element in its correct position. So that is what first of all you can note down, placing pivot element, okay, placing pivot element in its proper position. Now if you try to evaluate this one, what is going to happen? You can see simply. So n minus 1 plus n by 2. So if you simplify this one, what we are going to get? 3 by 2 n minus 1. And this is what actually polynomial equation. So because it is a polynomial equation, this remaining part we are going to skip, and highest degree term is n. So in this, this is constant. So you can represent in big O of n, asymptotic notation. So that means what you can say about this one, big O of n is what? For placing pivot element in its correct position, what is the time complexity? Big O of n. So that is what time complexity here, big O of n. Non-recursive code time complexity. If you get back our discussion, time complexity part, whenever you have a recursive equation, recursive code time complexity, non-recursive code time complexity is altogether of original algorithm time complexity. So here non-recursive code, here you don't have any recursive work, but here you have a recursive work. Is it or not? So here you have a recursive work means what? For 9 elements what you did, here for 4 elements you are going to do the same thing. So for 9 elements how much time complexity is taken, correspondingly for 4 elements also it is going to take accordingly. So that is what we have to understand. But non-recursive code time complexity is what? Placing pivot element in its proper position. So that is coming under non-recursive code. It is iterative time complexity. So that is what big O of n. Then what about this part? That is what? Recursive code time complexity, because here we have different cases actually. So we are going to have best case and worst case. So let us see in best case how this quicksort is going to be there, and in worst case how this quicksort is going to be there. So basing on that one, let us fill this part also. So first of all, this part is concluded that non-recursive code time complexity is big O of n. So now let us see, as we discussed, different cases of the quicksort time complexity. So that is what first we are going to see best case time complexity. So for understanding this one, let us take this example only. So whatever we take in the pivot element, so that pivot element is placed where actually? That pivot element is placed exactly at the middlemost position. Sometimes that may be middle or approximately middle, that is what middlemost position. It need not be exactly middle, but approximately both the sides sizes is same. In every iteration means this is one iteration. Now if you take this subproblem and here whatever pivot element you taken, even that element is also placing in the middlemost position. That means every subproblem further you are solving, the pivot element is going to the middlemost position. That is coming under best case quicksort actually. So let us try to understand this one with a simple example. So for example, this is whatever problem. Here we are going to have n elements. So whenever we have n elements, of course we will select one element as pivot. Assume that that pivot element is placed in middlemost position. So middlemost position means before you have approximately n by 2 elements and after you have approximately n by 2 elements. That is why we are saying approximately. Then when you are solving this subproblem, here also pivot element placed in the middlemost position. So that means even here also, now you see this is n by 2 means this is going to have n by 4 if it is divided into two equal parts, and this is going to have n by 4. And here also when you are solving this subproblem, of course let us take P1, this is P2, so P1 here, and here if you take the pivot element P3, and this subproblem approximately we are going to have n by 4 and this subproblem is going to have approximately n by 4. So like that in the every iteration pivot element is going to middlemost position. So that is going to become the best case of the quicksort actually. And also in this actually if you observe in this iteration how many elements are sorted? One element. And in this how many elements are sorted? Two elements. So like this it is moving actually. Okay. So this is first of all best case scenario. Now let us try to analyze this one. Okay. So you see we are going to take T of n. What is this meaning? Time complexity of quicksort whenever you have n elements. Okay. So time complexity of quicksort whenever you have n elements, we already concluded that whenever you have n elements, selecting the pivot and placing in its a correct position, how much time it is going to take, whether it is the best case or worst case, number of comparisons, number of swaps for this pivot is going to become same. So that means for placing the pivot element is always same, that is big O of n. That is concluded. And now if you see, after placing the pivot element in its proper position, that is what after placing in its proper position, this subproblem you have to solve. Here you have 9 elements, but here you have 4 elements, that is it. But problem size may be different, but how you solved this one, same way we are going to solve this one. So that means what algorithm here you applied T with size n here, but here size n by 2. So that means to solve this subproblem, that means here try to understand clearly, for solving with n elements it is taking T of n, for solving n by 2 elements it is taking T of n by 2. So that means I can write down here time complexity for the first subproblem is T of n by 2 and time complexity for the second subproblem is also T of n by 2. So that means T of n by 2. Is it clear? So this is what overall time complexity of this quicksort. Now you can see placing pivot element and solving this entire subproblem is taking T of n by 2 and solving this entire subproblem is taking T of n by 2. So overall this time complexity, right? So that is what this one. So that means if you simplify, what we are going to get, 2 into T of n by 2 plus big O of n. So this is what the recursive equation for quicksort in best case especially. Okay. And now how you are going to solve this one? So that is very simple, by using master theorem or by using substitution method, very easily you can solve. Already we discussed same equation we got in case of merge sort, okay. But anyhow, let us take here, if I use master theorem, A value is 2, B value is also 2 and K value is 1, P value is 0. See, these master theorems, substitution method are evaluating the recursive equations very clearly, we already discussed. So if you are listening this one first time, please go through those sessions also, that is very useful. So any kind of recursive equation or any kind of loop or any kind of algorithm, very easily you can analyze actually. So those techniques we already discussed, okay. So now basing on these parameters, what you can decide actually, so A equal to B power k case, and at the same time P is actually greater than or equal to -1. So whenever you have like this, what is the time complexity? T of n equal to n power log A base B, big O of n power log A base B and log power P plus 1 base n, n base 2. So this if you write down, T of n equal to, okay. So n power log A base B, log 2 base 2, that is 1. So big O of n, okay, n power 1, that is n, and 0, P is 0, 0 plus 1 it is 1. So log n base 2. So log n base 2. So this is what the time complexity in best case of this quicksort. So it is very simple that when quicksort is going to have best case, so whenever in every iteration pivot element, if it is going to the middlemost position, that means it is a pivot element dividing the given problem into two equal subproblems, approximately equal subproblems, then you are going to get the best case scenario. At that time complexity is going to take as big O of n log n base 2, okay. So now let us try to understand worst case scenario of the quicksort. So now after understanding the best case time complexity, let us try to understand worst case time complexity of this quicksort. So this is also very simple. See here, in best case what we told, every time pivot element is placing exactly at the middlemost position, okay, approximately at the middle. So that is coming under the best case. But in case of worst case, what is happening? So let us try to understand. So here if you see, for example, in case of so now let us see in case of worst case. So it is also very simple that how here pivot element every time placing middlemost position, in the middlemost position, same way pivot is going to place either in the first position or in the last position. If every time pivot is going to either to the first position or to the last position. So let us try to understand this one with the example. So for example, I have n elements, okay, and then of course we are going to select pivot element. If this pivot element is placed for example at the first position, that means how many subproblems we are going to have? Here you see only, here you have two subproblems, each subproblem size is n by 2 approximately. But here because this element placed at the first position, only you are going to have one subproblem, of course that is going to have n minus 1 elements, is it or not? So for placing pivot element in the first position, of course that will take same amount of time, big O of n, that is what we proved, whatever be the case, best case or worst case. But this n minus 1 elements you have to solve. And next if you take pivot element, assume that that pivot element is also placing in the first position in this actually. So that means P1, if P1 is at here, P2 is at here. That means remaining subproblem size is what actually? N minus 2. So like this it is moving actually. This is worst case scenario. So when this is going to occur is, for example, here you can see when this is going to happen. So for example, if I have elements already sorted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If my elements are already sorted, then what is going to happen? You can see. See, if I select this as a pivot, what is going to happen? I am going to take this as a I. This I am comparing with 5, 1 less than 5, moving to the next. Because if you find any element greater than 5 volt, then you will stop. But every element is less than 5, so moving, j is at here, then I came to here. Whenever I is greater than j, you are going to stop. Then what you are doing? Swap p and I, that is what we discussed in the algorithm. So that means 5 is going to be in the same place. Of course, there we discussed first position, but here you got in the last position. So that means pivot is placed here. This subproblem you have to solve where you are going to have 4 elements. So that is what the worst case actually. Is it clear? So in this case, how you are going to solve? So let us take this one, T of n equal to what actually? So here for placing pivot element, see, placing this pivot element in its proper position, whether it is best case or worst case, of course it will take big O of n. So let us note down that one, big O of n. Then after placing the pivot element in its proper position, how many elements are there in this one subproblem? N minus 1 elements. But always remember that what you did for n elements, for every subproblem you are going to do the same thing. So that means what you did for these n elements, for this n minus 1 elements also we are going to do same thing. So that means whenever you have n elements, you are going to have the time complexity T of n. Whenever you have n minus 1 elements, you are going to have the time complexity T of n minus 1. So that's it. So this if you try to solve, what is going to happen? So even this kind of things also we already discussed. So this is also recursive equation. Whenever you have this kind of recursive equation, how to solve we already seen, okay? Or otherwise let us take directly the formula. So that is what actually we are going to have whenever you have like this, T of n equal to A into T of n minus B plus big O of n power k. Whenever you have any formula in this format, we are going to have the time complexity like this, big O of n power k plus 1, if A equal to 1 actually. So only this case we are taking, actually A is less than 1, one case, A is equal to 1, one case, A is greater than 1, one case. So here you can observe A is what actually 1, B is also 1, K is also 1, that is what n power k, K is 1. So whenever we have like this, A is 1 means this we are going to take. So that means T of n equal to big O of n power k plus 1, k is 1, 1 plus 1 it is 2, n square. So this is what the time complexity in case of worst case, okay, for the quick sort. So you can see best case time complexity is order of n log n and worst case time complexity is order of n square. And very importantly, if you see here itself, we are saying that quick sort time complexity, that is the best case, that means big O of n log n base 2, and here we are saying that big O of n square, okay. So don't think that the time complexity of quick sort either n log n or n square, no, it is always between these two actually boundaries. It may be anywhere in these two boundaries actually. Sometimes pivot element may be exactly at the first position or at the last position, or if it is at here, one subproblem is going to have only 1 and another subproblem is going to have n minus 2 elements. So that is why time complexity of quicksort, though we are saying best case is n log n, worst case is n square, maximum is this one, minimum is this one, but it may be in between also. Okay, that is going to become average actually. Of course, average case also we are going to say n log n. So that is why it is between always n log n to order of n square. So this is what overallly quicksort example and its algorithm, and basing on the algorithm and example discussion understanding, we seen the different cases of this quicksort. So that is what best case and worst case. So in case of the best case, every time pivot element is going to place in the middlemost position. That is why it is dividing the given problem into two equal sub problems. And in worst case, what is happening, every time pivot is going to placing in either first position or in the last position. So that is why you have different time complexities for this quicksort. Okay.